So I didn't have the best of days yesterday, and I made a couple videos about this job I'm dealing with. I don't know if you all can see it in me, but I am really pissed off. I mean, I'm at that place where I don't ever like to see myself get. Not because, not because I'm violent or anything, but I whip out my pen and my legal pad and I start destroying people's lives and careers. But that's where they push me. I'm just really angry. As you probably know, anyone who can get angry enough to go to the trouble to pass a law to sell a fucking turkey toe has got to be pretty angry. But my shoulder is killing me. I was, when I'm digging through all these stories and poems to read to my mother, I found a list of potential stories. I guess one night I was thinking about it and started writing down all these things that happened to me that I wanted to write stories about. And so I thought maybe instead of reading a story, I'd just recount a story, one of which was on the list. Maybe make me feel a little bit better. But anyway, so this is a hunting story. Now, I'm back there behind my parents' house, or I guess it's Rebecca's house now. That where I grew up, where I learned everything I've learned, in the woods, my little woods. I'm bow hunting illegally on a place I'm not supposed to be. But I don't know. I see this giant buck, one of many I've seen back there. I decide I'm going to get some discipline. I'm going to target that one particular buck. I'm not going to shoot everything that comes by me. I want that buck. So I figure him out. I check the wind and do all the shit that I do to do what I do. And I plan this hunt where I think I'm going to get a shot at this massive wall-hanging buck. And so what I decided to do is there's this barbed wire fence with cedar hedgerow on one side of it. And the fence, 60 or 80 years ago, somebody nailed it to the side of an oak tree. This oak tree is kind of perforated by this barbed wire fence. And I decided that's a great, with the oak tree behind me and the cedar trees, it's a great backdrop to hide my silhouette. And I got the wind right because the wind's almost always coming out of the west. I get a little bit south. I'm going to give that buck an avenue with his nose into the wind. But he can't smell me because I'm below him. So I set my little stool up, and I'm sitting on the ground. It wasn't 10 minutes. And I hear something coming. And it's a doe. And she comes by me, I don't know, 10, 12 yards, hauling ass. Comes right by me, jumps the barbed wire fence, goes through the cedar thicket, circles around behind this pond and off through the woods. And I said, well, I know what that means. She's running from a buck. And I bet you $5 she's running from a buck. And I want to shoot. So immediately thereafter, I hear some more shit coming. And here comes this buck. Not the buck that I want to shoot, but a buck. And I don't know what happens to me when I got that bow in my hand. I don't know, it's such a magical, anything you harvest with stuff you've made is magical. And I guess that's why I have a hard time passing anything up, because I get a rush from all of it. But this little, I forget, I think it's a 4-pointer. This 4-pointer is trailing this doe. And I see him coming. Don't shoot him, don't shoot him, don't shoot him. And then, like, I can't even talk to myself. He's just coming by me. And he plants his feet, and I can tell he's getting ready to jump that fence. And I know when he does, he's going to throw his legs up, and I'm going to have this huge target. Shoulder blades are up, arms are up, liver's hanging out there. So he plants and he jumps and he's going over the fence, and I pull and release, and I hear that arrow hit. And I said, oh, you're dead. And he goes over the fence, hits the ground and collapses, which never happens with at least a stone-tipped arrow for the most part. I mean, he hits the ground like a sack of potatoes. And I'm like, what in the hell did I just do? And I look, and I hit that deer right smack in the spine, right behind his shoulder. And he hit the ground, and from that arrow impact back, he was paralyzed. He's kind of just sitting there, you know, he's got his front legs out in front of him, and he's looking around, and he doesn't even know what the hell happened to him, but he can't move. So I'm like, so I grab another arrow. I mean, the damn deer's right there, 10 yards from him. I put him out of his misery. I grab another arrow, shoot. Hit the barbed wire fence, arrow goes flying off through the woods. He's still sitting there. He doesn't even know he's been shot. I grab another arrow, shoot, and miss. At 10 or 12 yards. Just hit him in a running shot. I can't hit him sitting still. Grab another arrow, shoot, and hit him right in the damn gut. Not a kill shot. So I'm, what am I, 3 or 4 arrows gone? At that time, I hear something coming. And it's that buck. And he is coming nose to the ground, straight toward that barbed wire fence. My dumb ass had, I'd set out some doe yarn. And I've learned over the years, I make this mistake all the time. I mean, I've screwed myself so many times doing this. You know, you set your doe urine up, you just get a little residual on your hand or your foot or whatever, and what you're trying to make happen crosswired because he smells the residuals. Anyway, so this buck's coming. He's following doe. He's following little buck. He's following the scent trail I laid. And he gets to that fence, and he smells me, or he smells the doe urine, and he slams on the brakes. And I'm trying to reach for an arrow. I haven't got it loaded yet. And he sees me moving. And I think he thinks I was that little buck. Because he drops his head and he starts to charge me. And I didn't have an arrow, and I had my bow in this hand, and he's running at me with his horns down. And I got this little hickory tree right here. And he's coming. I get my bow up in front of me, and I'm like, ho, 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 and I start yelling, ho! And he slams on the brakes. I mean, I could almost reach out and touch him. I mean, he was that close. I got my bow like this. I'm backed up against this barbed wire fence in this oak tree. There's nowhere I could go. And I'm like, holy shit. And I'm looking eye to eye from here to the camera to that buck and these giant fucking horns. I don't know what to do. And he's standing there and he's trying to figure out. I mean, he's all amped up on testosterone. We're just having this like Mexican standoff. And about that time, that little buck that I paralyzed on the other side of the fence, I guess he realized he was getting, he probably thought the buck was after him, so he thought he was getting his ass kicked. So he starts with his front legs trying to drag himself out of there. Well, when he does that, the big buck sees it. He's like, that's what I'm trying to fuck. That's what I'm trying to get after. So he jumps over the barbed wire fence and takes his horns, and he just rolls that deer. I'd say it's probably 30 yards. He horns it and rolls it, and he rolls that deer all the way down the hill and pushes him into the pond. And I'm just going, holy shit, would you look at this? Still forgetting to load my arrow. I'm watching this buck on buck attack. Horns that little buck into the pond, turns right around, jumps back, and stands right in front of me again. I'm looking at that. Dead on, got no shot, don't even have the arrow loaded yet. I still got the bow, still cornered. He's looking, smelling, stomping his feet. He can't quite figure out what I am or where I am or what the hell's going on. I got no chance of shooting him. But they stomp their feet and they snort. He's right there. He's stomping and snorting. And finally, he lifts his tail up a little bit. He's trying to make me do something, flag. And he turns and he starts going around me to the right. And as soon as his eyeball went behind that little hickory tree, I got that arrow loaded. And it's almost perfect. I mean, he's turned and he's sort of kind of going around me and away from me. And he's showing me those last two ribs. And I was going to stick one right through there. I mean, liver, lung, and heart. I was going to eat his ass up. He looped around there, stomping, waving his tail. And he went past another tree, and I pulled back, anchored. And when he popped out the other side, I let it fly. And I shot 6 feet over top of that buck. I was so shook up. I wasn't even close to hitting that deer. But that was my last arrow. he kind of, I guess he heard the arrow and he looked, like, he didn't know what the hell was going on, but he knew something was up. He just went on down through the woods. I'm sitting there with a bow in my hand and no arrows. So I go, pissed off at myself, across the fence, pick up the one arrow I missed or whatever was laying there in the ground. Went down to get my other buck. That bitch was gone. Jesus Christ, what is going on? What have I done? I mean, he was right there in the pond on the shore. The big buck just kicked his ass and left him laying there. And I go down there and there's nothing there. Anyway, I look out there in the middle of the pond. Willow trees growing up out of the water. And there that buck is. Somehow he'd have dragged himself or swam over there. I had to wade in the pond, go over there, finally got a kill shot on him at 2 fucking feet where I could actually hit something. Drag his wet ass out, all gut shot, spine shot, covered in water and shit. Anyway, I never got the big buck. But that was one of the stories on my list. I guess I got a laugh out of it, so mission accomplished. I hope that will count as my Sunday morning read. See you later, Mom.